Okay, and now let's familiarize ourselves a little bit with the music. Go ahead, just pick up 2 bars earlier.
From the piano.
Okay. Very good. And believe me, Mariana, I have been there exactly in the same position where you are right here, right now, making tiny mistakes with orchestras, changing the bow not in the places where I calculated to play, in the middle of a performance, and try to deal with the consequences. I mean, this is what makes this movement difficult from a technical point of view. We have lines that Bartok has left us wishing he's phrasing. Okay? There are many things. As we get into the details of this work, we will all find out how detailed, how wonderful, how amazing it is. In effect, we are in a wrong setup. In fact, I think it would be more correct to look at this particular movement, not the work, but this movement, as one voice enters, and then the second voice enters, and third, fourth, fifth. Here is where our role becomes important. I think you should sort of start one voice, and knowing that this voice might not be the most important thing. This is really an orchestral work. It's like not only a kaleidoscope, but it's gives you a feeling of a big bang. You know, you make an explosion and zillions of particles are coming out. Whatever you do, whichever bow you take, whichever technical decision that you make, cannot, and this is what makes it so difficult, cannot disturb the overall line of this big bang. In other words, if you explode a particle, that particle moves with a line. I mean, there are many particles that move with a line. What we don't want to do is we don't want to cut the line. And I assure you, from experience point of view, I assure you that as a professional who was on stage now for many years, still I'm debating about what would be the best way to carry those lines. Okay, and when you confront an orchestra, one of the hardest things for an orchestra is to not only to keep the line, but to keep the balance. Okay, for example, there are too many places here where the violin is being simply covered. And from a violinist's point of view, something very curious happens. Of course, the natural instinct is, well, wait a minute, I'm the soloist, wait a minute, listen to my line, listen to where I am, you know. However, you are covered. You are covered, and you are covered is a negative way of looking at it. Absorbed is a better way to look at it. So, and that becomes, this is where real pleasure of performing this movement becomes evident, okay? And so, restart again, and when you restart, I would not think, there are no bow changes for you. They're not allowed. Not allowed, but you don't want to cut that. That's one of the hardest things that you can maintain throughout the movement. What will help from a technical point of view is to move your bow equally. No change of speed, regardless of what you decide to do. And believe me, there are many possibilities. People start reverse, people think reverse, people arrive at certain points reverse. Whatever it is, equal bow speed. Okay, one more thing or one more reflection would be important. Very arguable. It's an arguable point as well, but how much salt, how much vibrato? No vibrato? Where are we with this? This is the beginning of the first split. The music is going to split when it comes in. Vibrato, no vibrato? Where? Then the split. Yes, correct. Correct. Yeah, a correct process is actually taking place. Okay, in this, very important, two things are very important. Not to get stuck on the note, but continue to move the tempo. Again, very difficult because we carry quite a weight on us of how to vibrate, how to keep the bow in balance, how to do these things. All these things are heavy on us, the violinists. But right there where it is heavy, to make sure that we move fast enough, con moto enough, not to disturb again, not to make the piece, okay, now the world stopped, because it didn't, because it's emotion. This movement is also about emotion, definitely. The shifts here need to be worked on. And again, going up the G string is the more difficult solution, but sometimes also the more rewarding one. But it creates problems. It creates nothing but problems. We know it, and we all walk into the G string, trying to get that sound or that moment or that second of eternity. Okay. Could be a solution. Same sound, same sound, same sound. Okay. Here is the story. You're adding two voices. It's the pair. It's the couple who is and then a third line will join. Try it. Let's do just violins. Go ahead. So now, having tried that, try to, I will not play, but try to dialogue, especially in these places. It means from your point of view, even better is if we, very difficult to talk about dynamics in this particular movement because I just simply know how loud or too loud orchestras can get, but it's not their fault, it's nobody's fault. I mean, they are all playing like this and it gets too loud. Entrances of the winds later on, it gets too loud for what we're trying to do. However, I think that your choice of pianissimo is a little bit too early in the game. Too early in the game. The dialogue, get away from dialogue quicker. Yeah? Piano into pianissimo. Sorry. Go ahead. You know, it's nice. It's a nice. I can almost not object to it. It's espressivo, but there he writes pianissimo. I would not slide there. Yeah, maybe there you have a good set of points, but I disagree with it only in one point. And then I don't mind which you take. If you continue down or continue up, it's not a problem, but it's answering. Okay, two things. Look at the music. Two sets of legato, not one. Correct? It's only the way we're thinking. Maybe I'm even being too particular because I want to stick to what I said before. It's one line and we're trying to create a big bang of eternity. A split, unmovable at this point. You're just like in a slow motion, a visual thing. However, some notes are more important than others, and to me, but and continues to write sempre piano. So all of these incredible things, incredible harmony, incredible counterpoint, incredible playfulness happens in sempre pianissimo, always pianissimo. That becomes difficult. That becomes as difficult maybe as Mozart. Okay, try again. Okay. First of all, the first violins. So again, double legato. I think I very much believe that a very closeness to non-vibrato shared by everybody, first of all, will make an even line. The double legatos tell you where he wants this music to go, where is more important, where is less important. And from there, it's a good departure point to go into the fourth voice, the fifth voice, etc. We have a tendency as violinists to vibrate a long note. Of course. But in this case, it's the less important note. The important is the response. We need to change and adapt this mentality, at least in the very beginning. It's such a tender moment, such a sensitive moment before it explodes into passion. Try. You see, that's too much. That's taking too much risk. You need to, as you breathe, you need to be equal breathing. we need to make any effort possible just to make sure that people feel, see, and understand that the third voice comes in a fourth, and then the full bloom, the full flower. Okay, go ahead. When possible, we want to keep the line, yes? What you did, yes, some things really worked, but what you did, and the reason why I stopped, is because you did not maintain the sempre pianissimo. You got out of the old problem, and you said, I'm so happy that I'm out of the problem, so now let's vibrate. Vibrato should really happen, if any, should be used at number 1. Because this is the first time he's actually showing crescendo diminuendo. He's showing now movement in the parts. Okay, we can, at A, nothing before. He's telling you twice, sempre pianissimo. Twice, and so I need to. You're playing the first version.
Yes.
But then again, I've vibrated with the bow. Trying not to disturb all the things that were discussed before. Still, I heard that change. We cannot. That's the conversation. We're now slowly discovering our different inclinations or our different ways of looking at it. Yeah. At any case, this is based on this fairly exact. There are two versions of this. The second one has very slight changes, but important changes, and it's a better version than the first one. So done by Bartok immediately, shortly, I believe, afterwards. I don't know exactly, but the second version is better. Go ahead, start from 1 again. This goes with the orchestra. So poco crescendo, subito. Okay. Was not the most dominant. We didn't know what we were listening to. We're actually listening to the first violin, second part. First violin is divided by 2, the second part. Let's do it again. This time I'll play the part. Hey, that's her too. This is the split. When you go into 3rd, 4th, 5th, the placement of the notes, and of course now the whole dimension of exact chamber music. Exact meaning, yes, our head is not there or how to show our line, but rather how the flower is going to open. Okay, one more time, bear it in mind, try to play the game, then just play with Sander. Exact articulation as well. There is a reason for him to write this, because he's becoming now mathematical. He knows exactly which note to open or which note now to change the bow, otherwise it will not correspond from a counterpoint view, it will not correspond. So second parts, it is important there, 4th and 5th after 1, to keep the original bowings. Again, 4th after, subito piano, yes? From the subito piano bar. Okay. There you will, again, also, and the hard part is that you need to now, whichever bowings you decided personally, you need to now correspond with the orchestra. So if the orchestra comes reverse, they have equal part to you. So I mean, the practical one is you get it down on the crescendo diminuendo. So it makes sense. Yeah. Try once again, before the 3/8 bar, 2 bars. again, already at the forte there, you're already fighting with the orchestra. My personal experience is that there is a place where we want to keep the line, but we have no choice but changeable because of necessity. The orchestra there at that point gets too loud.